My dad said veterans should stop whining about their injuries. The words hung in there like a grenade. Ethan Miles was 17 years old, standing in the center of Providence Municipal Court with his chin raised and his arms crossed. He said it like it was fact, like it was something everyone should agree with. Judge Frank Caprio's pen stopped moving. He looked up slowly, his expression unreadable, not angry, not shocked, just still. The kind of stillness that comes before thunder. Ethan smirked. He thought he'd made a point. He thought invoking his father's name, Congressman Richard Miles, was a shield that would protect him from consequences. He thought power meant immunity. He had no idea what was coming because Judge Caprio knew something Ethan didn't. Something about his father that would shatter every assumption Ethan had built his arrogance in. A secret that Congressman Miles had been hiding for months. A truth that would stop Ethan's smirk cold and force him to see his father and himself in a completely different light. The courtroom felt smaller suddenly because everyone was waiting to see what Judge Caprio would do. Tell us where you're rewatching from and like this video if you love Judge Frank Caprio. Judge Caprio set his pen down carefully. He folded his hands on the bench and looked at Ethan Miles with the kind of patience that comes from 30 years of watching young people destroy themselves with their own words. We'll get to what your father said, Judge Caprio said quietly. First, let's talk about what you did, Ethan shrugged. I didn't do anything. Well, see about that. The clerk stood, adjusting her reading glasses. She opened the file with practiced efficiency and cleared her throat. Let's begin, Judge Caprio said. Miss Lopez stood at attention, her voice clear and formal. She'd been a court clerk for 15 years. She'd read thousands of charges, but even she paused before reading this one. Case number 2026, TR 11892, she announced. City of Providence vs. Ethan Miles. Charges: harassment of a disabled person, disorderly conduct, reckless scooter operation, and disrespect toward law enforcement. Ethan did stand. He didn't even straighten up. He just rolled his eyes and sighed like this was all a waste of his time. Judge Caprio's voice cut through the room. Mr. Miles, stand when the charges are read. Ethan sighed again, louder this time, but he stood slowly like he was doing everyone a favor. Where is your parent or guardian? Judge Caprio asked. My dad's in Washington, Ethan said. He's a congressman. He's busy with important stuff. More important than this. Ethan shrugged. He said handle it later. He always does. Judge Caprio studied him for a long moment. Handle it how? I don't know. Make some calls. Talk to whoever he needs to talk to. It'll go away. The courtroom stirred. Whispers rippled through the benches. Judge Caprio raised a hand and silence returned immediately. Nothing goes away in my courtroom, Mr. Miles, Judge Caprio said. Not because of phone calls. Not because of who your father is. Ethan's smirk faltered. Just for a second, then it came back harder than before. We'll see, he muttered. Tuesday, 10:15 a.m., Providence Municipal Court, case called, defendant present without guardian, Judge Caprio notes parental absence. Judge Caprio leaned forward slightly. Do I understand the charges against you, I guess, Ethan said. You guess? I mean, yeah, but they're exaggerated. Some old guy got his feelings hurt. That's not a crime. Judge Caprio's expression didn't change. An old guy. Yeah, he was blocking the bike path. I told him to move. He didn't. I went around him. That's it. That's your version. That's what happened. Judge Caprio nodded slowly. He picked up a photograph from the file and held it up. It showed a wooden cane split in half lying on a paved path. This is what happened to his cane when you knocked into him, Judge Caprio said. Ethan barely glanced at it. Accidents happen. Accidents? Yeah. Judge Caprio set the photo down. Mr. Miles, do you know who you knocked into? Ethan shrugged. Some guy, Sergeant Thomas Reich, United States Army, Purple Heart recipient. He lost both legs below the knee in Afghanistan. That cane you see broken in the photo, that's what keeps him balanced when his prosthetics cause pain. The courtroom went silent. Ethan blinked. For the first time, uncertainty flickered across his face. But it was gone in an instant, replaced by defiance. "I didn't know that," he said. "Would it have mattered?" Judge Caprio asked. Ethan didn't answer. Ethan Miles wasn't just disrespectful. He was calculated. Every shrug, every dismissive comment, every mention of his father's position, it was designed to minimize, deflect, and escape. He'd learned early that power protected him. That names opened doors and closed cases. He thought Judge Caprio would be like everyone else, another adult who would back down when confronted with political influence. Another obstacle he'll talk his way around. "My dad makes the rules here," Ethan said suddenly. He's on the Judiciary Oversight Committee. He knows judges. He knows how this works. Judge Caprio tilted his head. "Your father makes the rules." "Yeah, he does." "And you think that protects you?" "I know it does." Judge Caprio nodded slowly. "Mr. Miles, let me ask you something. Do you know what your father has been doing the last 3 months? The question landed awkwardly. Ethan frowned, defensive. "He's been working bills, committees, congressional stuff," Judge Caprio repeated. "Yeah, why?" Judge Caprio didn't answer. He just looked at Ethan with an expression that was equal parts pity and disappointment. "We'll come back to that," he said quietly. Text from Ethan to his friend Marcus sent November 10th, 4:47 p.m. "Ethan, just knocked some old dude's cane. In-law? Marcus, dude WTF. Ethan, Hugh is in my way. Told him to move faster. Marcus, you're insane. Ethan, my dad will fix it. He always does." The side door of the courtroom opened quietly. No announcement, no fanfare, just a man walking slowly, carefully using a prosthetic leg and a new wooden cane. Sergeant Thomas Riek was 72 years old. His hair was white, his face weathered, his eyes sharp and clear. He wore a simple button-down shirt, no uniform, no medals. He didn't need them. You could see what he was in the way he carried himself. The quiet dignity, the earned authority. He walked to the front row and sat down slowly, leaning his cane against the bench beside him. Ethan was looking at his phone. He didn't notice, but everyone else did. The courtroom shifted. People sat up straighter, whispers stopped. Even the clerk paused mid-note to watch as Sergeant Riek settled into his seat and folded his hands in his lap. Judge Caprio saw him. He nodded once, a small gesture of respect. Sergeant Riek nodded back. Ethan finally looked up. He saw the man sitting in the front row. Saw the prosthetic leg. Saw the cane. His face went pale. "Who's that?" he whispered. Nobody answered. 10:42 a.m. Silence in court. Judge Caprio turned to the officer standing near the side door. "Officer Mendes, your report, please." Officer Carla Mendes stepped forward. She was in her late 30s, calm and professional, with the kind of presence that commanded attention without demanding it. On November 10th at approximately 4:30 p.m., she began, "I responded to a complaint at Roger Williams Park. The complainant, Sergeant Thomas Riek, reported being harassed and assaulted by a minor on an electric scooter." Ethan shifted uncomfortably. Sergeant Riek was walking in the designated bike path. Officer Mendes continued. The defendant approached from behind at high speed and yelled at him to move faster. When Sergeant Riek explained he couldn't move faster due to his prosthetics, the defendant reportedly said, "She paused, jaw tight." He said, "Then maybe you should stay home." A collective gasp filled the courtroom. The defendant then deliberately swerved close to Sergeant Riek. Officer Mendes continued, causing him to lose balance and fall. His cane was destroyed. His left prosthetic was damaged. He sustained bruising to his shoulder and hip. Judge Caprio closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them, they were fixed on Ethan. "Is that accurate?" Judge Caprio asked. Ethan's voice was small. "I didn't mean to make him fall. But you did mean to tell him to stay home." Ethan said nothing. You looked at a decorated war hero, Judge Caprio said, voice steady but cold. And you told him he didn't belong in a public park because his injuries inconvenienced you. I didn't know he was a veteran, Ethan said quickly. Would it have mattered? Ethan opened his mouth, closed it. No answer came. Body cam audio. November 10th, 4:35 p.m. Officer Mendez. Son, what's your name? Ethan Miles. Why? You can't do anything. My dad's a congressman. Officer Mendez, that doesn't give you the right to sue someone. Ethan Miles, I didn't tasso anyone. The old guy fell. Not my problem. Officer Mendez, the old guy is a Purple Heart recipient. 3-second pause. Ethan Miles. Whatever. Call my dad. He'll straighten this out. Judge Caprio set the body cam transcript down. He looked at Ethan for a long moment, not with anger, with something deeper. Sadness maybe, or disappointment. You keep saying your father will fix this, Judge Caprio said. You keep invoking his name like it's a magic word, like power is a shield. Ethan crossed his arms. Because it is it? Yeah, my dad knows people. Important people. Had son make this go away. Judge Caprio nodded slowly. Mr. Miles, I'm going to toast you again. Do you know what your father has been doing the last 3 months? Working, Ethan said, but his voice wavered. On what bills? Legislation? I didn't know. He doesn't tell me everything. No, Judge Caprio said quietly. He doesn't. The side door opened again. This time, everyone turned. Congressman Richard Miles walked into the courtroom. He looked nothing like the polished politician Ethan described. His suit was wrinkled, his tie was crooked. His face was drawn, exhausted, and his eyes were red. He walked to the front slowly, like a man heading toward his own execution. Your Honor, he said quietly. May I speak? Ethan's face went white. Dad, what are you doing here? Richard didn't look at him. He kept his eyes on Judge Caprio, who nodded once. Please, Judge Caprio said. Richard Miles stood at the bar, gripping it with both hands. He took a breath, then another. His voice shook when he spoke. My son thinks I'm powerful, he said. He thinks I can fix anything, make problems disappear, protect him from consequences. He paused. He doesn't know that I'm under ethics investigation. He doesn't know that I've spent the last 3 months meeting with lawyers, trying to save my career. He doesn't know that I'm terrified I'll lose everything. Ethan stared at his father, mouth open. I let him believe I was invincible, Richard continued, voice breaking. I let him think power was the answer to everything. I taught him that being important was better than being good. Heffernan looked at Ethan, tears streaming down his face. I'm sorry, son. I failed you. I taught you the wrong lessons, and now you're here paying for my mistakes. Subscribe if you're over 50 and love real justice. Voicemail from Congressman Miles, Chief of Staff. Recorded November 3, 6:22 p.m. Congressman, we need to talk about the investigation. The Ethics Committee is moving forward. We're running out of time. We need to prepare for the possibility that pause. Just call me back, please. Judge Caprio let the silence sit. He didn't interrupt. He understood that some confessions needed space. Finally, he spoke. Congressman Miles, Judge Caprio said gently. Your son keeps saying you make the rules, that you have power, that you can fix this. Richard wiped his eyes. I know. Can you? No, Richard said, his voice cracked. I can't. Judge Caprio nodded. Then let me tell you what I know. What your son doesn't know. He opened a folder and pulled out a single sheet of paper. For the last 3 months, Judge Caprio said, while you've been dealing with your investigation, you've also been volunteering every Saturday morning, 6 a.m. to noon, at the Providence Veterans Rehabilitation Center. Ethan's head snapped toward his father. What? You serve meals? Judge Caprio continued. You help veterans with physical therapy exercises. You sit with them. You listen to their stories. You don't tell anyone your name. You don't wear a suit. You just show up and you help. Richard was crying openly now. The staff told me,